Many believe that Ruth was a Reubenites and not a Moabite because of two passages of scripture that state, "No Moabites nor Ammonites shall enter into the congregation of Israel." This statement comes from Nehemiah chapter 13, verse 1, and Deuteronomy chapter 23, verse 3. Let us look at Nehemiah chapter 13, verse 1. On that day they read in the book of Moses in the audience of the people, and therein was found written, that the Ammonite and the Moabite should not come into the congregation of Almighty forever. Deuteronomy chapter 23, verse 3. No Ammonite or Moabite or any of their descendants may enter the assembly of Yah, not even in the 10th generation. Here are the issues. If no Moabite and no Ammonite could not enter into the assembly of Israel, then that would mean that there is no way that Ruth could be a Moabite. Therefore, she would have to be a citizen within one of the 12 tribes of Israel, right? This claim may seem logical, but is this the truth? Let us look at Ruth chapter 1, verse 6. Among English translations, Ruth chapter 1, verse 6 is translated in 3 ways. Here are the 3 ways. Notice the highlighted words in red. Ruth chapter 1, verse 6 from the Jubilees Bible and the Legacy Standard Bible. Then she arose with her daughters-in-law, to return from the fields of Moab, for she had heard in the field of Moab how Yah had visited his people to give them bread. This translation supports the belief of those who claim Ruth was a Reubenite, because there was a place within the territory of the tribe of Reuben called the fields of Moab. However, this does not make sense, to return from the fields of Moab, for she had heard in the field of Moab how Yah had visited his people to give them bread. When we look at the definition of the word for field, we see H7704, sadeh, which means field, land. In the King James Version, the Hebrew word sadeh is translated as field, 292 times, as country, 17 times, as land, 11 times. But which word should be used in Ruth chapter 1, verse 6? To determine this, we must look at other translations of Ruth chapter 1, verse 6. Ruth chapter 1, verse 6 from the King James Version, KJV. Then she arose with her daughters-in-law, that she might return from the country of Moab, for she had heard in the country of Moab how that Yah had visited his people in giving them bread. The KJV uses the word country instead of fields. Ruth chapter 1, verse 6 from the English Standard Version, ESV. Then she arose with her daughters-in-law to return from the country of Moab, for she had heard in the fields of Moab that Yah had visited his people and given them food. The ESV is a better translation. Ruth chapter 1, verse 6 from the Greek Septuagint or LXX. So she arose with her 2 daughters-in-law, and they departed from the land of Moab because they heard, while in the land of Moab, that Yah had visited his people to give them food. Based on the evidence, Naomi and Ruth were in the country or land of Moab, and they were not in the field of Moab, which would have been in the territory of the tribe of Reuben. There is more evidence that Ruth was not a Reubenite nor an Israelite, but a Moabite from the land of Moab. Ruth chapter 1, verses 3 and 4. But Elimelech, the husband of Naomi, died, and she was left with her 2 sons. These took Moabite wives, the name of the one was Orpah and the name of the other Ruth. Notice that the text does not say that they were Reubenite wives. In Ruth chapter 1, verse 16, Ruth makes a statement that would have not been made if she was a Reubenite. But Ruth said, "Do not plead with me to leave you or to turn back from following you. For wherever you go, I will go, and wherever you dwell, I will dwell, your people will be my people, and your Almighty will be my Almighty." Let us pay closer attention to what is being emphasized. Your people will be my people, and your Almighty will be my Almighty. Let us read verse 16 again. For wherever you go, I will go, and wherever you dwell, I will dwell, your people will be my people, and your Almighty will be my Almighty. This presupposition indicates that Ruth was not from the tribe of Reuben. Ruth chapter 2 verse 10. At this, she bowed down with her face to the ground. She asked him, "Why have I found such favor in your eyes that you notice me, a foreigner?" Ruth referred to herself as a foreigner and not an Israelite. The conclusion? Ruth was a Moabite and Ruth was not an Israelite from the tribe of Reuben. However, this does not address the issue, in that no Moabite, nor any Ammonite can enter into the congregation of Israel. We will address this issue in another video called Strangers in the House of Israel.